Did you know that mastering your emotions could be the key to a more peaceful, productive life? If you want to live a life free from the constant grip of anger and frustration, you need to start thinking practically. The best way to find inner peace isn't through avoiding conflict or pretending emotions don't exist. It's about learning how to respond to them in a calm, thoughtful way. Avoid this mistake. Too many of us let anger control us, thinking it's inevitable and out of our hands. But in reality, you can shift that narrative. Anger isn't something to suppress, it's something to transform. If you want to live a life where your emotions don't dictate your actions, where you can navigate stress with clarity and peace, then this is the mindset shift you need to make. Stay tuned, because I'm going to show you how pragmatic thinking can turn your emotional responses into actionable steps that lead to a calmer, more fulfilling life. Number 1. Calm over chaos. Pragmatism works. Imagine waking up to a serene morning, the sunlight gently streaming through your curtains, the soft hum of your favorite tune filling the room, and the smell of freshly brewed coffee wafting through the air. Everything feels perfect, almost like life has hit a reset button. But suddenly, the peace is shattered. Maybe it's an impatient driver cutting you off on your commute, a rude comment from a colleague, or an unexpected expense that throws your budget into disarray. That fleeting calm, gone. Anger takes its place, roaring like a storm that you can't control. Now think about this. What if that storm didn't have to rage? Pragmatism offers a lifeline, a way to navigate through the chaos without losing yourself in it. Instead of letting emotions drive your decisions, pragmatism asks a simple yet profound question. What's the most effective way forward? Picture the last time anger took over. Did it resolve the problem, or did it make things worse? What if you could press pause in those moments and allow clarity to guide your response? Imagine yourself as the calm within the storm, choosing purpose over reaction. That power isn't distant or unattainable, it's a choice you can make, starting now. Number 2. Stop anger, start thinking. You're sitting with friends, the kind of friends who feel like family, swapping stories from the past and laughing so hard your sides ache. The mood is light, joyful, and it feels like nothing could disrupt this perfect connection. Now, rewind to a different scene, a moment where anger got the better of you. Maybe you snapped at someone you care about, or let frustration fester until it boiled over. The joy you're capable of sharing. In those angry moments, it feels a million miles away. Pragmatism doesn't tell you to suppress anger. It teaches you to understand it. Every time we let anger take the lead, we risk damaging our relationships and distancing ourselves from the life we want to live. Instead of acting on impulse, pragmatism nudges us to pause and think. What's truly at stake? Is the reaction we're about to give moving us closer to resolution or further away from it? Next time anger flares up, try this. Take a deep breath and ask, what's the practical way forward? This single shift, choosing thoughtfulness over reactivity, can save relationships, bring clarity, and remind you of the joy that comes from staying connected, both to yourself and to others. Number 3. Anger-free living. Made simple, close your eyes and think back to a summer afternoon from your childhood. The kind where time felt infinite and life's biggest worry was how long you could stay outside playing before dinner. Those carefree days hold a simplicity we often yearn for as adults. But as responsibilities pile up and stress creeps in, that simplicity seems harder to grasp. Anger, like an unwelcome guest, often shows up when life feels the most complicated. Pragmatism brings us back to that simplicity, not by erasing life's challenges, but by changing how we face them. It reminds us to focus on what we can control and let go of what we can't. Imagine approaching life's frustrations with the same ease and playfulness you had as a child, finding solutions instead of dwelling on problems. What if, instead of letting anger simmer, you turned it into an opportunity to grow, learn, and reconnect with the simple joys around you? Anger-free living isn't about pretending things are perfect. It's about choosing not to carry the weight of what's beyond your control. With pragmatism, you can simplify your mindset, reclaim your peace, and rediscover the clarity of those endless summer days. Number 4. Master your emotions. Today, imagine waking up in the morning, feeling fully refreshed and ready to take on the day. The sun is shining, the birds are singing, and you feel good about yourself. Your thoughts are clear, your body energized, and there's a sense of calm and focus. Everything seems perfect, right? But then, as the day goes on, something happens, something you didn't see coming. A disagreement at work, a stressful meeting, an argument with a loved one, or even something as simple as being cut off in traffic. Suddenly, that calm, peaceful energy starts to slip away. You feel your heart rate increase, your thoughts get scattered, and before you know it, you're frustrated, upset, or even angry. It's a familiar feeling, isn't it? You might even start thinking, why did that get to me? It shouldn't have. But here's the thing, that anger, that frustration, it's not inevitable. It's not something that has to happen. In fact, it's something that you can control. We often think that our emotions are these uncontrollable forces that just come and go as they please. But pragmatism, the philosophy of practical solutions and real-world outcomes, tells us something different. It teaches us that our emotions don't just happen to us. We can influence them, direct them, and, in fact, master them. If you take a step back and really think about it, you've probably faced a similar situation many times. Remember the last time you felt that rush of anger or frustration? Maybe you were stuck in traffic and someone cut in front of you without signaling. Maybe you were in a heated discussion with a friend or family member, and before you knew it, you said things you didn't mean. How did you feel afterward? You may have felt regret or even guilt for letting your emotions control you. But why do we let that happen? Pragmatism offers a simple but profound answer. It's not about denying or suppressing emotions, but about thinking practically. You can master your emotions by taking a moment to pause, assess the situation, and choose how you want to respond. Rather than allowing anger to take the wheel, you have the power to pause and decide the course of action that aligns with your true goals and values. Think back to times when you let emotions dictate your decisions. Maybe it was an argument with a colleague that cost you a potential opportunity, or an emotional outburst that strained a personal relationship. Those moments, while regrettable, were not the end of the world. In fact, they were reminders of something powerful. You can change how you respond to situations. It's not about being perfect or never feeling frustrated. It's about understanding that you have the ability to step in, think clearly, and choose your reaction. And as you think about those moments, remember the times when you did manage your emotions well. Maybe it was during a stressful time at work, when you took a deep breath, calmed your mind, and handled the situation with poise. Or maybe it was a difficult conversation with a loved one where you listened more than you spoke, allowing the tension to dissolve rather than escalate. Those moments remind you of the power you have, and they show you that mastering your emotions is not only possible, but also incredibly empowering. Now, consider what would happen if you could apply that same approach every time anger or frustration crept up. What if you could take a pause, breathe deeply, and think practically before reacting? The peace of mind that comes from knowing you have control over your emotions is priceless. Imagine the clarity you'd experience, free from the grip of anger, with a mind focused on what truly matters. Number 5. Think practical, stay peaceful. Do you remember the last time you felt completely at peace? Maybe it was on a quiet walk through the park, or sitting down with a cup of coffee, feeling the warmth seep into your hands. Those moments where you're free from stress, free from worries, and everything just feels right. Those moments are rare, but when they happen, they remind us of something incredibly valuable. They remind us that peace is possible, and it's within our reach if we choose to pursue it. But why does peace often feel so elusive? Why do we allow ourselves to get swept away by anger, frustration, or stress, when deep down we know there's a more peaceful path forward? The truth is, peace isn't something that happens to us. It's something that we actively create. And here's where pragmatism comes into play. Pragmatism teaches us that the way we think about challenges and frustrations in our daily lives can either fuel our emotions or calm them down. By applying practical thinking to our emotions, we can find peace no matter what chaos may surround us. Think about the way your mind works when you're upset. How often do you let your thoughts spiral out of control? One small irritation turns into a mountain of frustration, and before you know it, your peace is lost. It's so easy to get caught in the whirlwind of negative emotions, but pragmatism offers us a powerful tool, the ability to focus on what's practical, what's real, and what's within our control. Instead of getting lost in the chaos of your emotions, you can choose to direct your focus. When you're angry, upset, or anxious, stop for a moment and ask yourself, what is the practical next step? What action can I take that will lead to a better outcome, not just for me, but for everyone involved? The more you ask these practical questions, the more you'll realize that peace is within your control, and it's not as far out of reach as you might think. Imagine the last time you had a disagreement with someone, and instead of reacting impulsively, you paused. Maybe you even took a deep breath before responding. How did it feel? In that moment, you probably felt a sense of relief, right? The chaos didn't take over. You weren't swept away by anger or frustration. Instead, you were calm, and your thoughts were clear. That's the power of pragmatism in action. It's the power to choose peace, even in the face of difficulty. It's about taking a step back, seeing the bigger picture, and responding in a way that serves you, the people around you, and your goals in life. In the rush of emotions, it's easy to forget that peace is a choice. But with pragmatism, you can remember that peace is not only possible, it's practical. Now take a moment to reflect. How many times have you let anger or frustration control your actions, only to regret it afterward? How many times have you thought, if only I had taken a breath and thought it through? By applying pragmatic thinking, you can start to change the pattern. Instead of reacting impulsively, you can stop and choose a response that is aligned with your true values and priorities. Imagine how much more peaceful your life would be if, instead of giving in to frustration, you practiced a moment of calm and clarity. The results might surprise you. Number 6. No more anger, only clarity. Clarity is one of the most powerful tools we have in life. Think about the times when everything just made sense. The moments when your mind was clear and you knew exactly what you wanted and what needed to be done. Maybe it was a decision at work, a choice in a relationship, or simply a moment of realization where everything clicked into place. Those moments of clarity are incredibly valuable, but they don't always come easily. Anger, stress, and frustration often cloud our judgment, making it difficult to see things clearly. It's easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment, allowing emotions to steer us away from rational thinking. But pragmatism shows us that clarity doesn't have to be a rare occurrence. In fact, clarity is something we can create and cultivate with the right mindset. When we let anger control our reactions, it's like putting on a pair of foggy glasses. We can't see the full picture, and our perspective becomes distorted. We may make decisions we later regret, hurt relationships, or lose opportunities, all because we let emotions take over. But when we take a step back, pause, and think practically, that fog starts to lift. Suddenly, we see things for what they really are. Think about the last time you were angry, really angry. In that moment, how clear was your thinking? Probably not very. Anger has a way of blurring our vision, making us see everything in black and white. But the moment you choose to let go of that anger, to stop and reflect, clarity begins to emerge. The situation no longer feels overwhelming, and you can approach it with a level head, making decisions that are grounded in reason rather than emotion. It's not about eliminating anger entirely, it's about shifting the way we respond to it. Instead of letting it take over, we can choose to pause, breathe, and look for practical solutions. The more we do this, the clearer our minds become, and the more we can navigate life's challenges with a sense of purpose and direction. Imagine a life where you're not constantly battling with your emotions, a life where anger doesn't dictate your actions, but instead you have the clarity to act with intention and thoughtfulness. That's the power of pragmatism. When you can see clearly, your decisions become more aligned with your goals, your values, and your true purpose in life. Number 7, turn anger into action. Think back to a moment when anger took hold of you. Maybe it was a conversation that escalated or an unexpected setback that threw you off course. In that moment, did you feel helpless, like your emotions were in the driver's seat and you were just along for the ride? It's easy to feel this way, especially when things don't go according to plan. Anger, while a natural emotion, has a way of steering us away from solutions. We often find ourselves reacting impulsively, which leads to regrets and more stress. But what if we could turn that anger into something productive? Pragmatism teaches us that emotions, including anger, don't have to be our enemy. Instead of allowing anger to disrupt our lives, we can use it as a catalyst for action. It's all about shifting our mindset. When anger arises, rather than letting it dictate our responses, we can channel it into something useful. That burst of energy can drive us to solve a problem, make a change, or take proactive steps toward a goal. Picture this: you're at work and something goes wrong. A project is delayed, or a colleague makes a mistake that affects you. Instinctively, you feel the heat rise in your chest, the frustration bubbling up. But instead of reacting in anger, you pause. You realize that this anger doesn't have to result in a blown-up argument or a day filled with negativity. Instead, you choose to use that anger as fuel to solve the issue. Maybe it motivates you to communicate clearly with your team, organize your thoughts, and propose a solution that helps everyone move forward. This is where pragmatism steps in, turning a negative emotion into a powerful, positive action. It's about recognizing that emotions like anger are not inherently bad. They're signals. They tell us something is wrong or needs attention. Instead of letting those feelings overwhelm you, you can use them as a signal to act in a way that is both practical and productive. This shift in perspective takes practice, of course. It's not always easy to do, especially in high-stress situations. But with time and reflection, you'll start to see that anger can be a powerful motivator. Rather than letting it lead to impulsive actions or thoughts, you can let it fuel your desire for change, for progress, and for solutions. Think of every burst of anger as an opportunity to take charge of your emotions and direct them towards something constructive. Number 8, pragmatic peace for life. What if peace wasn't something you had to search for? What if it was always there, just waiting for you to discover it? We often think of peace as something fleeting, something we can only experience on vacation, in a moment of solitude, or during a rare break from the demands of everyday life. But the truth is, peace is something you can carry with you, no matter where you go. It's not an external circumstance, it's a mindset, a choice you make every day. At first glance, peace might seem like an idealistic goal, one that's out of reach for most of us. We live in a fast-paced world, full of deadlines, responsibilities, and constant distractions. There's always something pulling at our attention, something that demands our focus. It's easy to get lost in the chaos, to feel like peace is just an unattainable dream. But pragmatism offers us a different perspective. It teaches us that peace isn't about avoiding stress or conflict. It's about how we respond to those things. It's about choosing to focus on what's practical, what's within our control, and what aligns with our long-term goals. When we apply practical thinking to our daily lives, we can find peace in the midst of challenges. Think back to a time when life felt overwhelming. Maybe there was a period of stress at work or at home, or perhaps you were dealing with a difficult situation that seemed impossible to handle. In those moments, did you feel like peace was out of reach? Did you ever wish you could simply step back and find some clarity amidst the chaos? That's where pragmatism comes in. It reminds us that peace is not about avoiding difficulty. It's about embracing the practical steps that lead to resolution. It's about recognizing that while you can't control everything, you can control how you respond. And when you respond with a calm, practical mindset, you'll find that peace is always within your grasp. Over time, the more you practice pragmatic thinking, the more you'll realize that peace isn't something you have to search for, it's something you can create. It's about taking a step back, assessing the situation, and choosing to respond in a way that aligns with your values and your goals. Peace becomes less about escaping the world around you and more about mastering your response to it. Number 9, let anger go. Think practical. Anger can be a powerful emotion, but it's not always a productive one. We've all experienced moments when anger got the best of us, those times when we let emotions run wild and ended up regretting our reactions. But what if you could stop yourself in those moments? What if you could let go of the anger before it controlled you, and instead focus on something more practical and helpful? Letting go of anger doesn't mean ignoring it or pretending it doesn't exist. Anger is a natural human emotion, and it has a purpose. It tells us when something isn't right, when we feel wronged, or when we see injustice. But holding on to that anger, letting it fester, doesn't serve anyone. It clouds your judgment, distracts your mind, and prevents you from moving forward in a positive direction. Pragmatism teaches us to think practically. When anger arises, instead of letting it control your actions, pause and ask yourself, what's the most practical thing I can do right now? How can I respond in a way that will solve the problem at hand, rather than make it worse? By asking these questions, you begin to shift the focus from your emotions to practical solutions. The more you practice letting go of anger and focusing on practical steps, the easier it becomes to make decisions that align with your goals. Imagine a life where you no longer let anger dictate your actions, where you let go of those negative emotions and replace them with clear, focused thinking. That's the power of pragmatism. It's not about denying emotions, it's about using them as a signal to guide you toward better, more practical outcomes. Letting go of anger is a process. It's not something that happens overnight. But each time you make the conscious choice to release anger and focus on what's practical, you're training your mind to think more clearly and act more purposefully. And as you continue this practice, you'll find that the grip of anger begins to loosen, and in its place, you'll discover a sense of clarity, peace, and direction. Number 10. Stay calm. Be pragmatic. Imagine sitting by a campfire, the warmth of the flames wrapping around you as you listen to the gentle crackle of burning wood. The world feels still, and for a moment, everything seems right. Now contrast that with a heated argument, a time when anger boiled over, leaving behind nothing but regret and tension. It's striking how different those experiences feel, isn't it? Pragmatism teaches us that we don't have to let anger disrupt our inner peace. When emotions run high, pragmatism encourages us to step back and consider the bigger picture. Imagine a scenario where someone says something hurtful. The immediate response might be to lash out. But what if instead you paused and thought, what outcome do I really want here? Is my reaction going to help or hurt the situation? That small moment of reflection can change everything. Think of someone you admire for their calm demeanor. Maybe it's a mentor, a friend, or even a fictional character. What makes them stand out? Chances are it's their ability to stay composed under pressure. Pragmatism doesn't just ask us to suppress anger, it invites us to channel it into actions that align with our values and goals. The next time you feel anger bubbling up, try this. Take a deep breath and imagine yourself sitting by that campfire again, choosing to let the warmth of calmness guide you rather than the fire of anger consume you. Staying calm isn't just about avoiding conflict. It's about approaching life with clarity, purpose, and a mindset that prioritizes growth over grudges. If you've made it this far, drop a thumbs up. This shows you're part of the 0.01% who actually finished what they started. That's the kind of mindset that leads to real change. Mastering your emotions takes time and effort, but with the practical approach that pragmatism offers, you're already on the path to greater peace and clarity. Don't let anger dictate your actions. Take control, think clearly, and use every moment to grow. If you're serious about transforming your life, make sure to join our community by subscribing to the channel. We're here to guide you every step of the way, helping you live a life that's not only more peaceful, but also more practical and purposeful. Together, let's build the mindset that can take on any challenge with calm and clarity.